Hey everyone, in today's lesson we are going to draw a chord progression in Soundtrap. What is a chord progression? A chord progression is when you move from one chord to another in successive order. It is basically what we call harmony. You're layering notes on top of each other in intervals. Let me just show you the keyboard so you could see the instrument keyboard. So if I play a C chord, there's a C chord. I'm doing C is the root. E is what we call a third scale degree of the scale. Here's the C major scale. It's always good to know this theory. So here's a root of C, here's a third, here's a fifth, and that's the first chord that we have. The next one is a G chord. Next one is an E minor in this chord progression. Now we're going to build the chord progression from the bass notes. So we're going to take the bass notes that we have. Why don't we just listen to it? I have a bass track here playing whole notes. I have a very simple drum track that's in my other lesson on how to build a bass line, how to create a bass line and a drum track at the same time. So we had split the drums. We just created a MIDI track in one track, and then we split it into three separate parts, three different patterns of the drum beat. So let's just look at this now. We're going to create a chord progression. Why don't we hear what we have first? Okay, the bass is playing the roots, and it's clearly outlining the chords. Playing the roots, outlining the chords. So what could we do here to create a chord? We have to play three or more notes to create a chord, right? Two notes is not a chord. Two notes is an interval. So if I just do this, that is not a chord. This is a chord. This is a chord. So I have choices here. I can add what we call extensions. I know it's getting a little bit more advanced here. I can do inversions. I can do different voicings. But in this case, I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm going to make what we call triads. Maybe I might add a fourth note as well, but most of them are going to be triads. Okay, I can add an extension if I want. That would be called the ninth. It's after the octave, that's a ninth. So I'm going to draw them in rather than play it, and I'm going to take the bass notes that I had, and what I'm going to do is just do a quick swipe. I'm going to do a Command C to copy, and then I'm going to go to the chord progression track, and I'm just going to click over here to do just Command V. I just want my cursor to be there. Command V, and now I have the bass notes in my keyboard track. It's a electric piano sound, and it's playing the root notes. Now that might be a little too low to make a chord, but what I can do is this. Copy it again and bring it up an octave higher here. So I'll just put it here. Or I can do this and hit the Alt key. And now you see I'm copying them, and I'm going to bring this up to C3. Let's hear it. All right, so I have two notes here. And what I want to do is, I can keep these, it's not a problem, to double the bass notes with the electric piano. But now from C, I want to build a triad, a three-note chord. And I'm going to use the pencil tool. So I'm going to look at what is in a C chord. A C triad is C is the root. And you don't want to play, you want to stay in the key. So you don't want to play any of these gray shaded lanes, which would be, this would be a minor chord because it's an E flat. We don't want that. We could do that actually. Let's just try major first. Let's stick within the key. So only the white shaded lanes. So I'm going to skip. I could put a note here if I wanted to. And this would be what we call a sus chord because it's playing the second degree with that. And I'm just going to click here. And notice it's playing the whole measure here, which is fine. That's easy. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I did say I was going to stick with 3, but I might do 4. So let me delete this note. Let's stick with 3 for now, and then we'll add the 4th note. So the next note is in G. I'm going to build a G triad. I'm going to skip this key here, and I'm going to skip that one too because I want to go to a B. It's an interval of a third. And then I'm going to go up here, and this is a G triad. And I want to tidy this up a little bit. And for this, the root note is E, and I'm going to play an E minor. It's E, G, B. Notice the distance between the keys. And we're going to hear this, and then we're going to alter it. So let's just keep it simple. Triads first. F, not G, A, C. And we can make these all even. Now let's listen to this. This is a chord progression that we created from the bass line that was there. All right, there you go. Now, let's make it more interesting. Okay, so we don't have to stick with 3 notes. 3 notes are triads. We can add an additional note. We can add, if we add below the octave here, and let's look at the keyboard instrument. So here's C. This is the C scale. Notice there's no sharps, no flats here. This is the key of C. I can play it more than 1 octave. I'm playing this on a keyboard. That's why I'm able to play this really fast. And then, you know, everyone should know their scales. There it is. So we start on C. We built a C triad. We went to the G. We built a G triad. We went to an E minor, and we're sticking within the key. That's why it's a minor key, minor chord here. And then we went to an F. All right? Now, we don't have to just play those 3 notes. Let's just try to make it more interesting. We did that already. What I'm going to do is copy this track. I got my chord progression here. I'm going to duplicate it. I don't know what it just did, but let's do it again. I think I'm going to have to do this here. Duplicate. Where's the duplicate? There it is. So I just duplicated my track, and I'm going to label this triads. And then I'm going to dress it up a little bit. Triad. Let me put the S on there. There we go. And now this is going to be 4-part chords. It's going to have 4 different parts to it. I'll put 4-part chords. We could also call this extensions too, intentions. So I'm going to delete the region. And I'm going to click here. Now, I could do the same thing I did by taking this bass line, but you know what? I probably shouldn't have deleted that. Let me copy this here, the region. Just make it easy for myself. So that's the Alt Option key. You should be seeing that. And now I'm just going to go in and take out. I'll leave these notes. I'm going to add to this. So instead of C, E, G, I'm going to stick within the key. I have a couple of choices here. I could play a major 7th chord, and let me get the octave down so that you could see this. Should be C1 that you're looking at. There we go. This is C3. I could also do this. We call that an add 2. It's not a 9th until I do this. I have to play the 7th in there to be calling that a 9th. So anything after the octave would be the 9th. I can voice it many different ways here. Think of each note as a voice. And here would be the 9th. I could add the 7th. I can do that if I want. Why don't I try to do that? I can even do this outside of the key if I want to get interesting. But let's keep it simple. 4-part chords. I'm going to draw it in. We're going to take our pencil tool, and instead of just the G, I'm going to add a B. So there you go. Now the next chord is a G triad, and to make the G more interesting, let's see what we can do with the G. I could add the sixth. This is a sixth. Why is this a sixth? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just add the E in there. It creates a little tension. And let me get my pencil tool. Here's my G, here's my B, here's my D, and there's my E. And what could I do with the E minor chord? I can add a D, that's the 7th. We call it the 7th degree, and it's an E minor 7th. And let's see what we have here. F, A, C, not D. Well, we could do that, but let's add the E. So we're adding sevenths here. These are 4-part chords. Let's hear what this sounds like. Let's mute this one, and let's hear what we have. It's going to change the sound of the whole progression here. As we can see, it's different, and I want to make sure everything is lined up here, nothing is off. And this is kind of going into the next one. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You might want to leave it like this to leave a little, you're getting off the last part of the 16th note here, 32nd. And let's see what we got. This is looping over. Same thing here. Let's hear it now. I kind of think I need another note here or go higher. Let's hear this. Kind of cool. You got a 7th in there. Let's hear the A. Creating a lot of dissonance here. Too much. I could bring these notes up too, you know. Doesn't have to be in this register. And then I have the pencil tool. This might happen to you. Get the arrow key. And then I'm just going to bring these up. And hear what this sounds like. Whoa. Something got funky. That F doesn't belong in there. And let's see our notes. G, B, D, E. Yeah, that's what happened. Let's hear it now. That doesn't sound good. It's too much. So we bring it back down. So experiment with this, add some extra notes. Think of the scale. It's very important that you're aware of the scale. And again, if we're in the key of C, here's the C major scale, and we created a chord progression in this key. We're just sticking diatonically. We're not going outside of the key. I'm just creating a triad on each note of the major C major scale here. All right? And they do fall that the 1 is always major, the 2 is always minor, the 3 is minor, The 4 chord is major. The 5 chord is major. The 6th is minor. The 7th chord that you build upon is a diminished. And that goes for any key. It doesn't matter what key it is. If it's in the key of D, here's what it is in the key of D. I have to go minor again. Major, major, minor, diminished. It doesn't matter. And you can do this with the 4-part chords as well. So we just drew a chord in Soundtrap, learned a little bit about harmony here, creating extensions. There's a lot in this lesson here. We started with triads, and then we did some 4-part chords using 4 notes of the major scale, and then we haven't even gotten to doing extensions above this. And this is what you hear in jazz. It's what you hear in neo-soul type of music, and that could be in the next lesson, okay? So that's all we have for today. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Take care.